This training is for school administrators when writing the upcoming School Land Trust Plan. If you have any questions about the content covered in these videos, please contact us at schoollandtrust@schools.utah.gov. If you only need to watch a specific section, here is a timestamp directory of topic location times. Before we begin, please remember that as you are writing your School Land Trust Plan, leave ample time for the review process, especially in the case that edits or changes need to be made. If a plan is rejected by the state, it will be sent back to the LEA who notifies the school. If there is a substantive change, the plan will be sent back to the council level and will need another board approval. The School Land Trust Plan is just one avenue to help your students meet the goals of the Teacher and Student Success Plan and the LEA academic priorities. When writing goals, remember that the appropriate use of School Land Trust Program funds is outlined in R277-477-4. The funds for the School Land Trust Plan must be used on data-driven and evidence-based goals. The School Land Trust Plan is one of the many resources that should be used to help achieve the goals set in the Teacher and Student Success Plan. All goals within the School Land Trust Plan must have a direct impact on student instruction in the school's areas of most critical academic need. Goals should be student-centered and written to address the areas of first consideration as outlined in rule. Those content areas for elementary schools are math, science, and English language arts. For secondary schools, the areas of first consideration carry over from elementary and also include college and career readiness and graduation rate increase. If a school has demonstrated appropriate progress and achievement in the areas of first consideration, the school may create goals that focus on other academic areas. It is important to remember that these goals must also be data-driven, evidence-based, measurable, and have a direct impact on student instruction. Remember that a school district or school board may not require a council or school to spend the school's School Land Trust Program funds on a specific set of uses, but it should support the Teacher and Student Success Plan. When creating a School Land Trust Plan goal, we suggest that councils follow these steps to determine the critical areas of academic need. First, review the data. Where are the students currently and how are they performing? Once the data has been reviewed, it will be very easy to see what the area of greatest academic need is for the school. After the greatest academic need has been determined, the next step is for the council to decide where they would like their students to be in 1 year and create the goal. The last step for councils is to decide what resources are needed to help students achieve the goal or goals that were created. These resources become the action plan steps and plan expenditures. As you begin the process, remember that the purpose is to fund the plan rather than finding ways to spend the funds. Please remember that in R277-477-43, there is a list of unallowable expenses. If you have any of these expenses, your plan will be rejected. The expenses are costs related to district or school administration, including accreditation, construction, maintenance, facilities, overhead, furniture, security, athletics, and expenses for non-academic in-school co-curricular or extracurricular activities. The School Land Trust Plan consists of different sections: the state goal, measurements, academic area, action plan steps and expenditures, and comments. New for this upcoming school year, the Funding Changes section is no longer a section of the plan and has been removed from the website. Remember that in the School Land Trust Plan, there should be no identifiable student or personal data. All plans become a public record, so make sure to do a spelling and grammar check before submitting. If you have any questions, please ask them. It is better to be proactive with questions rather than having plans sent back later for an issue. Your first point of contact should be your LEA representative. They will then contact us. Goals should be written in a way that answers the question, what do you want students to do? This example is, we will increase the percentage of students K6 who have typical or better reading growth by 4% by the end of the 23-24 school year. The goals should also be SMART: student-centered, specific, stated in positive terms, measurable, academic, achievable, relevant, and time-limited. The best goals are short, sweet, and to the point, only 1 to 2 sentences long. When selecting academic areas, they need to be concise and only address the priority need that the goal is written for. If the plan has a cross-curricular method, such as teaching reading through art, art should be addressed in the action plan steps and expenditures. If the academic area doesn't have data or measurements attached to it, it should not be included as an academic area. The measurement section should answer the question, how will you know they did it? How will you measure students' growth and achievement? This measurement example is, we will compare students K6 who have typical or better reading growth from the 22-23 end-of-year Acadians Reading Assessment to the 23-24 end-of-year Acadians Reading Assessment. When describing measurements, they should be written in a way that allows schools to see if progress is made and limited to data sources that are meaningful tools. Action plan steps and expenditures will be the bulk of your plan writing. Keep the questions, how will they get from here to there, and what will you need to make it happen, in mind as you address this section. Action plan steps should be specific, active, written in future tense, and explicitly clear on how the steps will support the goal. We also ask that if school land trust funds are being used to fund the action plan step, an amount be added at the end in parentheses. When addressing the expenditure descriptions, don't include new information, but reference the action plan step. You can even copy and paste what was written in the action plan steps or list a step number in the description. This is an example of how to use the expenditure description box to copy and paste the action plan steps or list the steps as they pertain to each category of funding. As mentioned, action plan steps should be specific, but not so specific that it causes problems later on. In this example, using "we are hiring" is not specific enough. A way to write this action plan step with enough specificity is, we are hiring a reading specialist to help with reading groups. This wording is explicitly clear on how the step will support the goal. If your local board has asked for clarity on the intended FTE, please include it and write something similar to, we are hiring a half-time teacher for reading group help. If needed, an amendment can be created later to change the expenditure amount used. Another example of an action plan step that is not specific enough is, we will purchase software. A better way to write this step is, we will purchase reading software to support our reading goal. Or, we will purchase reading software such as Lexia to support our reading goal. If your local board has asked for clarity on the intended program, this step can be written, we will purchase Lexia for students to access to support our reading goal. Then, if a different software needs to be purchased during the school year, an amendment would be required and the board notified of the change. Remember that if an action plan step is using school land trust funds, add it in parentheses. If the step is using another funding source, don't include the amount. Focus on where school land trust funds are going. That's what the school land trust plan is about. When an amendment is needed, remember that it must go through the approval process before the funds can be used. First, the council members will create and approve the amendment. Next, the local board will approve the amendment. Then, the LEA reviewer will approve the amendment on the reporting website. Last, the School Children's Trust section will do the final review and finalization. Now, the funds may be spent consistent with the approved amendment. The last section of the plan is the comment section. When making comments, keep in mind that they are permanent and cannot be removed or edited. The comments do not transfer to the public reports. However, they can be seen by anyone with a login to the School Land Trust reporting website. The main purpose of comments is to communicate about the review process. If your council has approved mini grants in the plan, remember that an amendment must be created and approved by all levels before the funds can be used. The mini grant must also support an existing goal that has already been approved. This is an example of a school that has done a great job of creating amendments and using the mini grant process. In the original plan, the goal was students will increase their college and career readiness as evidenced by a 5% increase in the number of credit recovery packets completed and in the number of students participating in advanced placement and concurrent enrollment courses throughout the 23-24 school year. The action plan step to support the goal is provide licensed staff an opportunity to apply for a grant to fulfill a need for their individual classrooms to support this goal. Upon the approval of each grant, an amendment will be submitted to specify each purchase in the appropriate categories. When the council approved the plan, they voted to include an allotment of funds toward teacher grants, for which individual classroom teachers could apply for materials to improve their instruction and support of their students. The high school teachers completed a grant application through September and October. Then, in the November Community Council meeting, the applications were voted upon and approved. As a way to aid the Community Council, the teachers who applied for the grants explained how each purchase would aid them in providing higher quality Tier 1 instruction in their classrooms. The requested items and costs were summarized in a spreadsheet with the teachers or program making the request. When the amendment was submitted on the reporting website, these details were included. 2 of the grants directly support the land trust goal. Students will increase their proficiency in mathematics. These purchases will support the action step of allowing the teachers to provide a higher level of Tier 1 instruction in all their classes. Another detailed description was, the remaining grants will support teachers in their contributions to increase graduation rates, by providing the opportunity for more students to be actively engaged in the instruction of a wide variety of classrooms across the school. These purchases also support the action step of allowing teachers to provide a higher level of Tier 1 instruction in all their classes. Both narratives included the items being purchased, how they would impact the goal, and the costs associated with them. The mini-grant process is one example of a substantive change to the plan and the amendment process. Amendments will not always need to be submitted for changes, but an amendment must always be submitted for a new goal or a new spending category within a goal. Other times when an amendment is required is up to the local board's discretion. They will provide information about the thresholds of changes they want something to come back for review and approval. It may be above a specific dollar amount, or it may be any change from the original plan. Examples of times when plans have been amended are a change in a current goal, significant changes in a spending category, moving spending between categories of a goal, and spending that is moved between goals. Ask your LEA representative for direction on when the local board may require an amendment. If you have any questions about the content covered or need assistance when writing your school land trust plan, please feel free to contact us.